All right, thanks for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Daily Trust. Wrong choices responsible for Nigeria's woes. Kwankwaso speaking. Why merger talks with Obi collapsed. When your polling units get appointments, contracts. Atiku tells PDP members, rejects my husband after 4 years if he underperforms. Tinubu's wife speaking. Don't vote along ethno-religious lines. Obi also speaking there. We move now to this Nigeria newspaper. Polls may be violent, inconclusive, unless former military head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar raises the alarm, says Nigerians deeply concerned. You find the details on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. To the leadership newspaper now. Amid rising verbal attacks by candidates, Abdulsalami committee warns against violence, incitement. Atiku Tinubu refused to sheath swords, continue mudslinging. Kwankwaso asks Atiku Asiwaju to withdraw from race over allegations. All right, details on the front page of the leadership newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Daily Times. Elections. Federal government clears air on IGP's tenure, says police boss not retiring midway into elections, as FEC approves draft bill to establish police training schools. All right, all the details on the front page of the Daily Times. To Nigeria News Direct now. IGP won't retire amid general elections, the federal government speaking, as minister confirms release of 4-year tenure letter to IGP, says age cannot alter Police Act 2020. To the First News newspaper, why we can't retire IGP middle of 2023 elections, federal government. Baba's tenure already extended to 4 years by President Buhari, Police Affairs Minister reveals, says Police Act has changed rules for IGP's retirement. And on the front page of the Nature newspaper, Ogoni land cleanup, Federal Executive Council approves 1.35 billion naira for 31 project inspection vehicles. All the details on the front page of the Nature newspaper. To the Business Day now. Petrol scarcity persists, drains pockets. Petrol scarcity persists, drains pockets. Details on the front page of the Business Day. And we move quickly now to the front page of the Nation newspaper. SANS, the senior advocate of Nigeria, polls under threat by returning officers' powers. A senior advocate of Nigeria saying that polls are under threat by returning officers' powers. You find the details on the front page of the Nation newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Daily Sun. Obasanjo reveals why MKO Abiola didn't become president. Obasanjo reveals why MKO Abiola didn't become president. All right, to the front page of the Guardian newspaper now. $1 billion anti-terrorism spending poses on Buhari's security success. $1 billion anti-terrorism spending poses on Buhari's security success. You find the details on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And to the front page of the Daily Independent. Police officers are less corrupt now. Federal government declares police officers are less corrupt now. Federal government declares. And finally, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, fuel scarcity bites harder. Marketers blame NNPCL. Fuel scarcity bites harder. All right, marketers blame NNPCL. All right, we'll look at the story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. There has been concerns with regards to the 2023 elections, and so many quarters, reactions coming from so many quarters, concerns coming from so many quarters. And now we are seeing senior advocates of Nigeria also being concerned, saying that the polls may be threatened by returning officers.
Yes, they're referring to a section of the Electoral Act, and they're wondering why the National Assembly passed pass that law, because there's a section of the of that law that says that that the decision of the returning officer on either ballot papers, whether a paper is not complete, or the final tally, that their decisions are final. So both Olanikpekun and Olisa Agbakoba are raising questions about it, and that is something that they think that the INEC should now voice. Now, let me read the section here. It says, the decision of the returning officer, that is the section 65. So, Olanikpekun faulted section 65 of the Electoral Act, saying it was capable of being abused. It said, the decision of the returning officer shall be final on any question arising from or relating to A, unmarked ballot paper, B, rejected ballot paper, and C, declaration of scores of candidates and the return of candidate, provided that the Commission shall have the power within 7 days to review the declaration and return where the Commission determines that the said declaration and return was not made voluntarily or was made contrary to the provisions of the law, regulations, guidelines, and the manual for the election. 2, a decision of the returning officer under Section 1 may be reviewed by an election tribunal or court of competent jurisdiction in an election petition proceedings under this Act. Well, the two of them, Olanikpekun and Agbakoba, are saying that there are booby traps in this. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm looking at it by saying that, well, it is final to the extent of its consistency with the law.
Right.
So it may be final, but it is not ultimate. It is not irrevocable. Let me put it: it's final, but not irrevocable. So that is the contradiction. How is it final? Why do you use the word final. And then you still say that it is irrevocable? Right. So that is the question. Now, is it so? Whose final will become final? So the court can say, I take the returning officer's final. I don't take the other person's final. It creates some kind of problem. So they are looking for clarifications from the from the INEC on what they are going to do. But I don't know if clarification from INEC will even resolve the issue, because INEC is not law. INEC is also subject to law.
It has to go to the National Assembly.
They either go to the National Assembly for clarification, or else eventually it will become a battle in the elections. What they are saying is that somebody can bribe the returning officer to say something, and then he says it, and then it's irrevocable. Remember, there was an incident in Imo State during the last polls where the returning officer said it was blackmailed to declare an election, and then he went into hiding, and so those are the kind of booby traps that they are talking about.
So, well, my concern is, how is it that they are just realizing this?
It's interesting.
It's just some
It's just
few
that
weeks
the election is already there. Yeah,
the election, and we are just realizing that this is there, this clause is there.
Well, maybe there have to be an emergency meeting by the National Assembly if they feel that the ambiguity is a booby trap, or if they feel that there's no clarity in it, or if they feel that they need to change it, maybe. But I don't know what process that would take, because to change electoral law, it's not something you just sit down and just change.
In hours and days.
So unless they want to invoke an emergency session and go about it, but it's a matter which the lawyers will still have to
look into,
yes.
Actually.
Yes.
Then there's also the matter of General Abdulsalam also raising concerns, and he was in Kano yesterday, and he said that with the recent mudslinging amongst campaigns, he's not seeing issue-based campaigns, according to him, and the fact that we are seeing attacks on campaign trails. He's also concerned with regards to the elections, and there was a signing of some peace accord among 8 political parties that were represented at that meeting in Kano. And he's saying that the security has to sit up at this point to address this matter, else. You know, he left the statement hanging because these are the issues that a lot of persons have been raising with regards to the election.
Yes, the man has been the chairman of the Peace Accord, and is playing his role by saying that, look, this my responsibility is being undermined by the activities of hoodlums within the political society and even with the society at large. There have been some red flags about our capacity to hold free and fair elections. The INEC chair raised the concern too when it was in Chatham House. But he also radiated some level of confidence. You know, as Alexander Pope said, hope springs eternal in human affairs, that a human being is a compulsively optimistic creature. That being said, we have seen signs that the security forces will have to really work extra hard to ensure that the elections are not interfered with. The basic concern is actually in the southeast, where they have attacked more INEC offices, killed even INEC officials. They have threatened that they are going to undermine the elections as the IPOP people and so on. So that matter is still there, and we shall see.
Although one of the groups came out to say that there will be elections in the southeast. One of the groups came out. I can't really pick.
Some groups have said that there will be elections. So are they speaking for the street of these criminal groups? Are they speaking? Understand that they are so widespread in the southeast, and they cause a lot of problems. In fact, some of them are beginning to see themselves as armies of a cause. They are seeing themselves now as stakeholders in a different country. And some of them feel that if you kill 15 people, they'll make you a colonel. If you kill so, they have reward system, a very macabre reward system, a bloodletting. You shed blood and then you get promoted. That kind of macabre, what do I call it, system is already being foisted on them. So they have their own reward system. They have their own reality.
That's unfortunate.
So that is the reality that our elections are going to have to come to terms with going forward.